Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome back to the Firm Report. It's your boy Pat Hilton and Zach Hoffman coming to you live. Zach, welcome back.
What's up, Pat? Welcome back to you.
Hey,
How
it's
are
been
you
a
doing
good
today.
Hey, you know it's Monday. That means it's time to get on the grind. It's time to give people the update of what's happening in lawyer marketing.
Where people are making money.
Yes. Yes.
Side of it.
And show them how they can make themselves available to do more deals. So what do we got on the hopper this week?
Yeah, so we got our 5 topics to run through. We got topic 1, settlement wins and spotlights. So we're going to go to our Instagram leaders board, see who's up there. Topic 2, we got why law firms need long-term marketing strategies for consistent growth, featured in CEO World. It's an article that will pull some highlights from. For topic 3, we'll go into our digital creator spotlight. Daryl Isaacs, a lot of lawyers know him as Call the Hammer. And topic 4, we got DK Law sponsors and collaborates with Street Queens, which is essentially a motorcycle festival that's going on in the California area. But this is where a firm is taking it to the streets with community involvement as well as a social hybrid. And we have Open Law, the Uber for legal services, why this is important to take notice of, how you could potentially get involved, but you don't want to just shut it off as, hey, it's just another, tech service out there. It's definitely an opportunity to get new cases or just casework and law in general.
Dude, I love it. Let's jump right into it with topic number 1 and run down the topics here today. Zach, let's take it away.
For sure. So for our settlement wins spotlight on the Instagram leaders board, Morgan & Morgan leads the charge with a $425 million San Francisco verdict in regards to privacy laws. Then you have, let's just give a moment. $425 million. I mean, 9 figures lighting up the board. Consumer privacy. It's huge. Then we go to the Dordick Law Group, $8.5 million settlement, bodily injury case. Then you have the Perigman firm with a $4.35 million construction site accident. 855 Mike wins. Mike Morse with Don Cummings on his team, a $1.425 million accident victim settlement. And then Steinger, Green and Feiner, the injury lawyer down here in South Florida, $1.2 million case for a car accident, brain injury case. Yeah, very dramatic, but huge win for the firm.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important for people to be putting it out there, what they do, how you can get a hold of them. And again, always showing you all examples of how you can do this for yourself, why it's important, and how you can make it happen for yourself. There's a lot of opportunity out there. You got to make yourself available, and you got to make sure that people can see what you're doing, because real proof is what people are looking for. With all this AI generated content and stuff that's happening, people do not want to see that anything is fake, because they're looking for real results.
And definitely like highlighting and pinning some of those those settlements up to the top of your posts or top of your feed definitely gets people engaged with your firm. I mean, it's social proofing, right? So take those wins, relay them to social media, and get the response and get those new big cases in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no way around it. Social media is how people communicate. It's where people are at, and it's the way of the now. So make yourself available. What else we got, Zach?
As we go forward here, so why law firms need long-term marketing strategies for consistent growth. So this was an article featured out on the internet there. Legal marketing is moving faster than ever. Search technology, AI, Google updates, they change the game overnight. And that's why law firms can't rely just on quick wins. You need a long-term strategy that will keep you working tomorrow and not just today. So why long-term strategies really matter? The problem with short-term tactics is they collapse the moment Google makes a change. If you're chasing hacks or trends, you're one update away from disappearing. Instead, firms need scalable, flexible strategies that pivot with algorithm shift. That's the only way to stay consistently visible. And a legal-only focus. So when you're looking at the business where you're focusing specifically on legal, it's important to work with potential partners that specialize in the legal space as well, and can really build custom campaigns to get your firm to the next level. And when you're looking to win in an AI era, now with Google AI Overview, law firms can't just think about traditional SEO. Early adoption here is critical. You have to show up in those AI answers or you're going to be invisible. Essentially, a test result that I did 3 months ago, the result today on Google is a completely different search result. Essentially, now it's become an answer. And then as you go forward, make sure that your campaigns are data driven. It's not just about getting clicks. It's about getting the right cases. The right cases start with the right leads. And then it happens to be get those leads and you turn them into cases. And that has a lot to do with your intake systems, your intake procedure, and making sure that everything is effective and being checked up on from an analytical perspective, your SEO results, your AI overview results, your paid ads, and the website optimization as a whole. All has to be fine-tuned to really bring in those qualified leads. We're seeing it and we're mentioning it with a lot of the aspects when we're looking at some of this social content that we're saying to really keep your firm top of mind and keep it, irrelevant in front of people. And really make sure that, the firm or the partner that you're working with, that's a long-term partnership, that you're looking for sustainable long-term growth. Essentially, the first few months should be focused on building baselines and then expanding your footprint as you have data to work forward with.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really important to make sure that you're available and that people can find you. Like you say all the time, that the social media platforms are now ranking. So especially Instagram, that all ranks on Google now. So all these results that we're tagging on Instagram, on Facebook, it's all ranking on search engines too. So not only are we helping the law firms rank by reviewing what they do, but them already putting the results out there is helping them rank. So when people go to search, who do I go to? Who can get me the results? All of this stuff is going to start showing up. It already is. And so as time compounds, it's going to show up more and more and more.
And it comes down to the social proof, and it's always, it takes work, right? And that's what we're all here to do, right? So anyhow, when it comes to the work and putting in the effort, those updated posts, the frequency, all of that stuff really matters. Nobody wants to see posts from, 2-3 years ago. Essentially, they want to see that somebody's at the wheel at the firm, that, today they posted, or even this week, that there's activation, that there's things actually happening.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome what we're capable of doing. And I think that it's only going to continue to get bigger. So take it away, Zach.
Sure. So as we move forward, our digital creator spotlight, many firms and lawyers know him, Daryl Isaacs, the Hammer. His username and reach across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, he's hitting the clock at 79,000 plus. TikTok, he's got over 279,000, and on YouTube, over 7,800 subscribers. So the Hammer is really hammering it home when it comes to social media. He's got massive visibility. So he's built a household name, and he's taking it essentially beyond his high energy commercials where Daryl Isaacs is the Hammer. He's taking that persona to real life when it comes to social media. And he's continued to grow on TikTok as Call the Hammer, showing that he can essentially scale these platforms. And he's also seeded out what's gone as almost virtual ads, like virtually viral ads. So he's taken an ad for the big game and he parlayed it into millions of views, essentially through his YouTube channel. He's got memorable branding, giving himself that nickname, the Hammer. It's bold, it's simple, and it's unforgettable if you're in his key markets. He carries this brand consistently across every platform, from TV spots to TikTok skits to Instagram Reels. His ads aren't just commercials, they become cultural moments with catchphrases and characters people actually start to remember. So his authenticity and connection really, serves the public very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing more and more the combination of real results with real videos and real people becoming the future of influencer marketing. It used to be, I look like I'm doing something, I look like I'm popular, I look like I'm successful. And now we're seeing that what would be called a micro influencer in social media world where I live. The people with maybe a smaller following, but a more trustworthy, laser focused reach because they're niche based. They're very focused on a specific niche. They only provide insight, results, and content based on that niche. Therefore, they become the niche expert. And as I've learned, and as has had an effect, a measurable effect on me, the niches are the riches. Riches are in the niches. I 100% agree with that and believe that. Well, and these people are very good at that niche marketing.
Well, it's not only niche marketing. It's like, when it comes to these law firms, all of them have the, same challenge, right? There's a national player that's in everybody's market. So they have to connect with the hometown. They have to really be, one within the home, and they need to connect with people where they are currently. I mean, look, people are still watching TV in some respect, but I'll be honest, like my NFL game in my local market, I tuned out after 15 minutes. My local franchise, I had work to do. Right. They looked like they gave up after the Dolphins were like, that game was a straight train wreck. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts hadn't won a game in an opening game in 15 years. Well, they sure as hell won one yesterday. And I had work to do instead of watch that game for 3 hours. But my point is a lot of these law firms have exposure when it comes to traditional media. But a lot of people go from traditional media naturally over to their phones. And if they're not constantly on their phones, even when they're watching the game or communicating with other people, that's where the audience is at. So,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a shift happening with especially live TV. I mean, I haven't watched anything but the Super Bowl in 10 or 15 years. I'm an exception. Yeah, I know that, but
look, when it comes to professional sports, I would say even college sports from the games I've watched, I think is getting better than the professional level. The NBA is very open about double-digit declines in their viewership. It's no secret. And the NFL is not far behind. I mean, look, if you're going to call in Taylor Swift to save your viewership and male cheerleaders, I mean, you all got to have a better approach and strategy to the game. Maybe there's just something wrong with, the DNA of what's actually being performed and the level of competition. I mean, look, I can go off on a tangent on, professional sports and where they kind of stand in a lot of respects from a viewership perspective. The point is if you're on that traditional channel, make sure that you're covering your butt when it comes to the digital footprint. And Daryl Isaacs, the Hammer, he doesn't fall short. I mean, he's even making his feed very personal. He even tells his story where he had a near fatal bike accident in 2015, openly shares it and why he has so much empathy for his injured clients. And if you tune into his social media these days, he's also taking you through his personal weight loss journey, which does connect with a lot of end users as well. And it humanizes his brand and builds deeper trust. And when somebody has a big problem or a big challenge, I mean, look, Daryl Isaacs probably has another 20 or 30 years in his career, and he's going to continue to be the Hammer, and people are going to know who to call.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all there. I think that there's a lot of changes happening. And as you've pointed out, especially in this show, these marketers and these law firms have a huge opportunity of gaining attention at very low cost because these platforms are free. Boosting is still very affordable. Ad campaigns, very affordable. Leading people to website forms, very affordable. While promoting on an NFL network is outrageous.
I mean, it's not that it's outrageous. Look, it reaches eyes, but the reality is real social media production takes dollars and resources. It takes planning. It takes data. It takes following different trends, making sure that you're, ready to go with the information that people want to see, hear, and engage with. And as we always talk about, it's really just getting started. But Daryl Isaacs is definitely the Hammer. He's bringing it down when it comes to social media.
Dude, it's awesome. I love it. And I wish him the absolute best. I hope he keeps crushing it. So welcome to the feature this week, Daryl.
Oh, for sure. The
Who
Hammer,
else we got? The Hammer. Who else we got, Zach?
The Hammer. Yeah, so as we move forward, I mean, look, it's like I said, check out the brand and definitely everything that he's doing online because he's no rookie when it comes to marketing, just taking it to a whole new level. Moving forward, we have DK Law over in California. They're collaborating with a street event, Street Queens, which is essentially going to be a lowrider and tattoo event that's going to be in Ontario, California. So it involves community involvement as well as influencers parlaying these audiences and really taking it to the streets. I mean, this firm is all over California. They're very engaged when it comes to a social media perspective. They're using it as gold. The event is coming up, but look, they're not just the sponsor. They're tagged as a collaborator in multiple promotional videos, and they're woven into the fabric of the event. It's huge.
Yeah, that's a really interesting play because the ability to build community is something that people are craving. We're noticing this across multiple verticals, community-driven platforms, groups, masterminds, business people. If you're a law person, you want to be around more lawyers. If you're a marketer, you want to be around more marketers or potential clientele. Real estate people like to hang out with real estate people. I always go off on real estate tangents. But when you integrate with high-level rooms, you start to realize these people seek each other out. They want to be around high performers. And so this community-driven style or approach to networking is going to become very, very popular, and it's going to become the breakthrough or the bridge for a lot of people because real human connection, as these phones are great at connecting people, they're also great at making people feel very isolated because they sit on the screen all day. Real human connection is something people are craving more than ever right now. Smart move.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, taking it back to this event in general, I mean, it's the classic DNA of what some of these firms want to reach. So Street Queens, it's a groundbreaking celebration. It's the first woman-led lowrider and tattoo show happening in Ontario, California. And essentially the firm, I don't know if they got approached or created the event themselves, but getting in front of women in general, they make a lot of decisions in the households. If there's ever an accident, and their empathy, and they're the caretakers in the house. So, when you're thinking custom lowriders, choppers, fierce tattoos, this is going to be a huge event, and DK Law is tied right into the DNA of this initial event. And going forward, I'm sure they'll be the first sponsor they go back to essentially collaborate on. But doing a hybrid of the live event with the social media influence build is huge to get in front of their prospective audience.
Yeah, events have always been a really big thing for me, coming from like live entertainment, being a singer songwriter and stuff like that, and moving into the business space. I had a really good take on live events because I was a natural performer. And so I was able to kind of help people take their knowledge and perform it better on camera or perform it better on stage. And as business owners have continued to adopt music marketing or influencer marketing, I call it just basic entertainment, but you've got to be able to entertain your audience. And when they go to your page, they better be able to click around and be entertained and be convinced, or they're going to go click on the next person and do business with that person. And so we always want to make sure that we've made ourselves available.
And DK Law is going to get lasting brand impressions from this. As well, they're going to be able to do a closeout post to essentially collaborate and, show their support for this event. It's a huge win. It's a huge market opportunity. The lesson for a lot of firms out there is look for local events where you can, be part of the conversation and make sure that the event is posting on social media and cross-tagging your firm to show your support. It's really critical to get the exponential reach from the endorsement and the sponsorship.
Dude, absolutely. And I mean, if you're going to put yourself in any type of a room like that, you have got to stand out and you've got to become a go-to person. Like you were saying, you've been at a couple events lately and people walk up to you in the halls and they're like, "Hey man, I see your content." And you're like, "Have we met before?" That's a good thing.
Hey man, it's going one to many. That's the beauty of the medium.
I love it.
Yes. So in our next piece of news here, so Open Law, the Uber for legal services. Why this counts? Essentially, this new startup just raised $3.5 million to become, quote unquote, the Uber of legal services. Instead of clients like necessarily just shopping around, they're doing work through what they vetted, or what they're claiming is AI, to do the matchups and the pre-vetting of potential attorneys. Right now, they're in a few key markets for them: Florida, Texas, with plans to roll out into California, New York, and Arizona. But, like we're saying, open law is a new format to, a traditional take in legal services.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much, again, there's so much opportunity here because the availability, the connectivity, again, overlooking social media in 2025, it's like burying your head in the sand and expecting people to see your face. Make your face available. Put yourself out there. People do business with folks that they trust. And the best way to get trust is to at least be seen multiple times. And, sometimes it might not even be a direct person that buys from you, but someone says, hey, what do I do in this situation? Well, I don't know. I see this Zach Hoffman guy talking about it all the time. I'd call him. He's probably the guy that knows. And so conveniently, because you're seen, you get the phone call.
Yeah, I mean, staying top of mind. Essentially, when it comes to open law, consumers are coming there, they're explaining their issue, and then the platform is going to directly link them to potentially a qualified attorney. They're claiming it's going to be fast, simple, and AI driven. Why this matters for law firms? It's another funnel to get prospective cases and clients. And it's also going to be an overall trend. If it's not necessarily just servicing your style of case law right now, it sure as heck will be servicing your style of case law into the near future. So, pay attention to these like platform evolutions, and, these are essential disruptors. I mean, look at what's happened in other spaces from a traditional mechanism where people might have like essentially refused to adapt to this Uber culture that we're in today. I mean, taxi cab services as well as like traditional chauffeur services just aren't what they used to be because they have to compete with real-time, real platforms. So get involved, start to look at some of these platforms, and get some takeaways of how you could potentially adopt it to your practice, like make it easier for people to engage, like intake software that might actually be like a platform for taking a case in. And then also make sure that you're always, brand building, because you're going to have these competitive pressures that are always coming into the marketplace.
Yeah, that's one thing I think that gets overlooked too, is the consistency aspect of this all. You can't just post once and think that everybody's going to know, especially if you're something like that you want people searching, you want people getting information. You want to constantly be directing people to use that. So they get results and then they want to subscribe or they want to pay or they want to be a part of it. Consistency often gets overlooked.
Consistency wins.
Yeah, 100%. It's everything.
Yep. Impressions.
I love it. What else
Definitely,
you got?
That's what I got, man. It's it's another awesome Monday here, and definitely it's a marvelous Monday.
Well, dude, you've been busy lately too with a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. We don't just talk about it on the show. Zach's busy, which is why we do the show this way. And a couple people have asked me, they're like, dude, I see you do that stream every Monday. How busy is that guy? And I'm like, dude, he's not a normal person. And the reason why I say that is because you are not someone that just does this and talks about it, or you're an influencer. You're an executioner. This is the only time that you have to really press content for the week. And so we've formatted it in a way that makes it easy for you to document. Why is it really important for people to find a way to batch record however it is comfortable for them? And this is something you can even do at Zach's office. Zach has team members that can help you, but you are always out helping people with their content, their website, their ad campaigns. Explain how you're doing that on the field so that people can kind of understand that. And I would actually like to have this as a clip for the future, because I think it's important for people to get to know how you actually operate on the field.
Well, so this wasn't, or isn't an overnight process, right? Like, we've been working together for over a couple of years on refining the approach and the strategy. It all started with the studio visit into your actual location and studio. And then it's evolved to be, where we have a homegrown home-based studio, and we can actually film, syndicate, share, and then rinse and repeat. We continue to build out content strategy. We're always building a new blueprint for how we aggregate content. We're testing different content that we're putting out into the field. And then essentially when we start to find areas and niches that are working, where we're getting the engagement that we want, we double and we triple down on that type of content and continue to parlay it forward. But it's not a stagnant process. And like I said, it didn't necessarily happen within the first post. I think Mr. Beast is most famous for saying he didn't essentially go quote unquote viral till he was like 500 posts in. So it's not going to happen for anybody overnight. It's a matter of just getting the process started and seeing, you know, how the evolution looks and feels and takes you.
And I think it's always important for people to know that, I mean, you've been doing marketing in this style of production and ads and all that for over 20 years. And so not
I've
everybody
been doing marketing for 20 plus years, you know, but every year you have to reevaluate what's working, where should we be spending our resources and dollars, where should we be going? We service clients nationally and internationally. The fact is I can't go take a local billboard or local television ads and essentially reach those audiences. I have kids at home. I can't go to a networking event every day, every night, like a PR agency suggests to me and be like out on the streets. Like, no, I can't be one-to-one as much as I'd want to be. I still do it. But if I take this approach and strategy, I'm one to many. And when you look at a lot of these law firms, essentially their market's not defined in like a closed circle. They're servicing counties, states, and multi-state opportunities, and even out into, you know, the entire country, and even into, you know, places like Puerto Rico, or, you know, servicing cases on international basis where their cases may be located. So in an area, I would just say in a world where borders have been eliminated, it's huge to be on social media and other digital platforms. Anybody in the world can basically access your information and even go have you on the International Space Station. If they wanted to access your website or social media, they could do it there too. Satellites allow that to happen. There's not a billboard or a 30-second spot, you know, anywhere in the country that has the same reach as hitting social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that's just so cool. And you know me, I always talk about how hard it was to get your music heard, or how hard it was to get your video seen back in the day, because if you didn't have distribution, no one was going to see it. And so if you weren't on NBC, or you weren't on CBS, or you weren't on PBS or Channel 9 or 11 or 13 or whatever with the TNT, nobody saw your stuff. It's not like that anymore. We have the ability to compete and go head to head with anybody on the planet now.
Yeah, I mean, like, the gates are open. It's there's really no hurdles to getting impressions and getting the exposure that you might want. And there's no borders to the reach of the internet. That's the beauty of it, and this style of format of communication. You know, we used to have to wait for videos to download or videos to load, and we're in one of the most gifted, opportune times of history.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, Zach, as always, thank you, sir, for the insight. Folks, if you need to get a hold of Zach, you can. Just click his name on the stream on Facebook. Shoot him a message.
Check us out, exalts.com. Shoot me a call, a text, 954-892-1460. We're here to help.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, get out there, make yourself known. If you need assistance, hit us up. Let's make something happen. And as always, Zach, have a great way. And you out there, have a great week. Make some moves, and let's lock down some deals.